Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to Everything CAW. And, we got a lot to discuss with recent stuff that's been going on in the CAW community that, I feel like personally I want to address here. That, and, you know, kicking this, thing off. Um, Kicking this thing off, guys. I'm basically going to do this. This is a new thing. Um, Definitely, you guys tune in for this because this is going to be a show you definitely want to tune in to see. Um, Getting back in this, I feel like that this is a major topic to discuss. But before we do, I want to give the introduction here. Welcome to everyone to episode 7 of Everything CAW. This morning, we're talking about a heavy title, the death of CAW wrestling. We are at a critical crossroad. The community we built, the viral federations, the late night streams, the hours of editing and storytelling, it's been suffocated from the inside out. Tonight, we are not sugarcoating anything. We're pulling back the curtain on high school drama, the fake narratives, the safety risks, the toxic behavior that's actually killing this space. If you're here for the love of the game, buckle up. If you're part of the problem, take notes. And, the key discussions that we're going to be talking about in this, and I'm going to put this as part of the banner so you guys can actually see this, is this: setting tone, defining why the community needs immediate wake-up call, and establishing accountability for all content creators. That there's a problem with some creators that I just don't get or just don't understand. I mean, we're going to talk about some of those creators later here on this show. But the fact of the matter is you sit here and you try to proclaim that you are doing good for CAW. You want everything positive for CAW. But here's what I don't get. If you're doing positive for CAW, why are you eliminating every good person that has helped you, that has tried to be your friend? And then you go back to the people that don't give a damn about you, that talk shit about you. I mean, I just don't understand. Somebody help me out. Feed me some knowledge here, because, like, dude, this guy's got, like, this guy, I'm going to say this. This guy's got more problems than a wet noodle. You ever fix noodles, you'll know what I'm talking about, especially when you cook them real good. They stringy as shit. They got more problems than a noodle. But the fact of the matter is this: we're getting back on the show. We're not talking about that, but we're going to get on the first segment here, because the first segment, we did is the introduction, so to be the second segment actually. So I cannot wait to talk about this segment here as we get ready to rock and roll. Breaking down the silence on community toxicity. There's a lot of things I want to say about this, in general, that I really think that, some CAW creators don't really have knowledge. So I'm just going to leave it at this. I'm going to address the elephant in the room out of the gate. Why are people so miserable in a space dedicated to creative gaming and wrestling simulation? We have creators who rather tear someone else's hard work than put effort in their own product. It's time to call out the constant toxicity poison our chats and discords. We need to reset our community standards starting today. Talking points: identifying toxic behavior patterns, addressing burnout caused by community drama, and outlining actable steps to foster a healthy creator environment. And, you know, these people that tear somebody down instead of building somebody up, these are the people that you really don't need. It goes back to that old saying, you know, you got to learn when to cut that rope. You know, if you try to help somebody cross a bridge and you need to get back on the other side, guess what? They may not help you. They may, you know, just walk the other way and then cut that rope, and you're left stranded in a tough situation that you can't get yourself out of. You see, there's a lot of things that you got to think about as a content promoter, that you can't help anybody. Everybody wants to do their own thing, but at the same time, here's where it can get a lot of frustrations out, because you take notes at these people that get butthurt over the last podcast I did on episode 6. There was a lot of them that did. I'm not going to name no names. There was a lot of them that, you know, got mad and, you know, removed me out of chats, and, you know, think it hurts my feelings. But at the same time, you just showed your true colors. You exposed yourself. You done this to yourself. I mean, there's no getting out of it. There's no running away. You did this to yourself, and this is the cause of it. Now, later on down the line, I will bring Kevin Impact, maybe on episode 8, episode 9, episode 10 of Everything CAW, and I would love for him to share his expertise on the topic at hand. But here on episode 7, we're getting back on the community toxicity. There's things that, you know, I can't understand why you want to hate somebody. You know, wrestling is supposed to about building each other up, not tearing each other down. You know, Thea Hill spoke on this in a video. Matter of fact, if I can find that video, let me play this for you guys. And I'm going to shout out to the I'm going to give a shout out here to the YouTuber that actually got this video. I don't know where he found it, but and let's add this to the mix. So I hope everybody here is, you know, tuning in to watching this, because like I said, Thea Hill spoke out on a good thing here. This not only applies to professional wrestling, but this also applies to CAW wrestling as well. And the channel is, of course, Proof Jason X. Huge shout out for him for, you know, having this video up. You know, go subscribe to him, show him love and support. But we're going to get into the topic what Thea Hill talks about. And this is the reason why that I say that breaking silence on community toxicity is very important. There is a lot of hate in professional wrestling that, you know, Thea Hill speaks about. There's a lot of hate in CAW wrestling that we need to speak about. We need to be like her. We need to stand our ground and let people know, hey, you need to think about what you say to other people, because on the other side, it's a human being. So let's roll this footage.
I've been wanting to touch on the subject for a long time now, and I just haven't felt like I should, and now my opinion just changed. I'm a 22-year-old girl. Think about that for a second. I wouldn't have even graduated college if I moved away in the middle of high school to pursue my dream, because I valued that over comfortability, and most people could never fathom to do that. And every day to look at my Twitter timeline or look at social media and see negative comments about me as a human being is disgusting. I have worked my ass off for 5 years for the biggest moment of my career, and you all take it as a joke. You act like I'm the worst human being in the world for my 1 ounce of success that I finally had. It sucks. I don't think you understand. Every day that I wake up happy, sad, miserable. I don't care. I put professional wrestling above everything. valued this industry to such an extent, and I valued others' opinions, and it is exhausting. I love this more than anything, but what I don't love is to constantly be torn down by other people, by other human beings. At the end of the day, I am a person. I am a 22-year-old girl who is getting to live my dreams, and for some reason that's wrong. And for some reason you guys decide that you want to go hate on somebody else because you're not happy with yourself. You feel the need to tear somebody else down to build yourself up. Are you serious? I don't understand. I don't understand the level of hate in professional wrestling today. And for just 1 second, I would love for you guys to internally think, would you like for somebody to say this about me?
This is what I'm talking about. Think about what you say to other people. And most importantly, think about what you do behind the screens. You know, Thea Hill brought that point out. I want to show you that real close and personal here. Now, since we got that broken down, we need to talk about everything that's on this. Stop the gossip and lies, high school mentality, protect the kids, chat safety, stop spies and alliance betrayal. You know, this is the 4 things that just really are killing CAW. 4 things that are killing CAW right now. Another thing I want to talk about is this. And I'm going to have this up here for my ticket thing. So, getting on the subject with the false narratives and target campaigns. This is where I definitely want to talk about this, that it's crucial. You know, false narratives don't happen by accident. They are manufactured by people who can't stand others succeed. When you spread lies about someone else's brand, you're being malice. You're actively sabotaging the ecosystem we all share. How rumors spread, the damage done by fabricated stories, why creators need to verify facts before opening their mouths on streams or even off streams. Think about what you say to the other side. You know, Thea Hill point on that subject. And the main topic I want to talk about with the false narratives is it's got to stop. If you guys claim to be positive, if you guys claim that you want to do good for CAW, this shit has to stop. Be a grown adult. If you got problems, you know, for example, I'm going to shout out this man, huge love and support, you know, on my side, much love and respect, brother, Kevin Impact, for example. Like if I had hatred towards Kevin Impact and I kept doing the things that spreading rumors about him or just, you know, keep on doing the lies and toxicity, I'm not doing anything good for CAW. I'm being what we call negativity, bad for CAW. And if you're going to literally sit there and say that we are the sheep, in your words, you know, let me get back on that topic. So basically, I'm just going to say this about the sheep call out because I think this needs to be addressed. Only thing I'm going to say, what are you actually doing here? You're walking around like you're some kind of mastermind, some high-tier visionary of virtual squared circle. But let's be entirely honest with the chat. The only thing you're successful leading is a flock of lost causes straight off a cliff. You got on a mic and tried to drop this grin, immediately calling out like it sounded like a pipe bomb, more like a sleepy time lullaby. You out here calling people sheep. My guy, look in the mirror. You're the one blindly following a script that nobody cares about, reading off cue cards written by your own delusional of grandeur. Every time you open your mouth, it's exact same static noise. No substance, no moment, and definitely no bite. You want to talk about being a wolf in a world of sheep? Please. You barely a stray chihuahua barking at a mailbox, hoping someone toss you a bone just so you feel relevant for 20 minutes. It's best, it is best call out the competition has to offer. Consider me completely underwhelmed. Keep talking. Keep running that stimulation in your head where people actually take you seriously. But when you're busy counting your little virtual sheep, we're out here running the business, building empires, dropping real content on everything CAW. Get better materials, step your game out, and stay out of the spotlight. We're moving on. That's what I got to say about that. Now, we go back to another thing that I want to talk about. And this is another segment that I'm going to literally show. And, you know, like I said, huge shout out for JTV for everything they done. Case study. The targeting of Kevin Impact's JTV. Like I said, guys, get your drinks. Because I'm about ready to blast some people that need to be blasted. Now, let's talk about specific examples of cowardice. I know my buddy Kevin Impact's JTV company was targeted by certain individuals. That JTV done nothing wrong to him. Absolutely nothing. Why did it happen? Because this individual is wanting attention. They feel like they have to be a center of attention 24/7. They simply cannot get past moving on process. They stuck in the past, slashing out at people who are actually trying to build something positive. Now, breaking the harassment down directed at JTV, analyzing the psychological of creators who refuse to move on, and showing solitary with creators targeted about clout-chasing individuals. This one individual, at one point, he was doing good for JTV. But what happened? Truth bomb being dropped. And before I drop this truth bomb, let's go back to my media here and do like the truth train, what we call it, because I'm going to let this truth train go. Truth train is going to go right through the and that's pulling right into the station. This individual or individuals was a part of JTV at one time. And Kevin Impact tried to literally get these people to understand the positivity of CAW, not to try to, you know, start drama, not trying to beef out with individuals. But these individuals kept it going. They that's the only thing they know how to do is keep things going. They can't shut up. They can't do anything for themselves. And, you know, the sad part about this is, and, you know, I'm going to say this real loud. The sad part about this is with this whole thing of Kevin Impact's JTV, they love to stick on the past because they can't get out of the past. The past is what they live for. They can't move on. They can't grow up. They can't act their age because of their IQ level. And, you know, the sad part about that is, at one point, Kevin Impact and these individuals were cool. But at the same time, what did they do? Kevin Impact gave him a silver platter, gave him, you know, some knowledge, gave them everything they needed to do to be successful. And you know what happened? You threw that man out like he was nothing. You talked bad about that man, saying that he's this and he's that. And then for the dear love of God, here's what I just don't understand about this whole criteria. You go around sabotaging JTV just because JTV's got better talent than you, just because JTV has better things going than you. And then you go around here like some spoiled little brat behind the mic, going on CCs, downloading people's CAW without their permission. And then you basically do the most stupidest thing that I've ever seen that you've done, is not come and ask the individual behind that call if you could grab him. You just go ahead and take him. That is disrespectful. That is something you don't do. That's where I put my foot down and blast all these stupid assholes in their place, and there's not a thing they can do. Now, we're going to get into the segment here that really means something. And this segment is safety crisis enabling in chat rooms. Now, this is a huge topic. Why we need to shift gears right now to talk about much more serious than bruising egos or internet drama. We talk about real world safety. One of the most sickenest thing I see in every day in CAW spaces is creators enabling pedophiles to be part of their shows, their streams, and their communities. The immortal and ethic failure of turning a blind eye to predatory behavior, while community safety must always superintend viewer numbers or engage metrics. Safety is a huge priority. There is kids. I understand that, you know, there's kids that want to be an EPSIODE, but you got to understand that you have to put an age limit. You can't let a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old in a chat room with a pedophile. If you have a pedophile in there, that is the most stupidest thing that you could ever do. Think about it. And it goes back to this as well. We're going to move on to the next one. This is not segment 10. This is segment 6. Segment 6, protecting minors in a chat room ages 14 to 17. This is the reason why it's important. Too many creators have kids that are 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds hanging in their chats. These creators know there's a high risk of predators lurking, or worse, they are completely oblivious because they care more about chat activity than kid safety. If you don't know who is in your chat talking to these underage kids, you're playing with fire. talking points, the vulnerability of minor viewers in unmoderated or poorly moderated wrestling streams, and the responsibility adult creators hold when minors are present. In other words, protect the kids. It's called chat safety. Think about what you do when you add these people in there. Now, we're going to get into a topic here that definitely is going to hit a lot of things. The danger of the spy culture. Now, I will say this. There's a massive issue here right now. The people who have become, we call spies, they sit in your face. They say they got your back. They play the loyal friend. Then second you turn around, they go right over and tell the enemy everything you said in confidence. There's a lot of people I know that does this. Said that, oh, I ain't going to go back to that company. And then do the complete opposite. This is where that I just don't get it. I just don't understand. I just don't understand the mentality. I don't understand why that you do some of the most stupidest stuff. When you know that they ain't going to treat you right, it's the same, it's kind of like, trusting a person that's going to rob a bank when you know good and well deep down inside they're going to rob a bank. Like, how stupid are you for trusting them? They're going to get in trouble for, of course, robbing a bank, and you're going to get in trouble what is called by the law term guilty by association. It's self-explanatory. That means just because you didn't do it, you're still going to get in trouble. It's you got to think before you do. Now, going back on this other thing too, I just saw, and I think that this needs to be talked about too. The next segment, why tattletales are the problem. And the reason why that is that I think that needs to be a major IQ factor for our screening processes, because if you're running around tattletaling, playing both sides, you're the problem. You're not fixing the problem. You're definitely not the solution. In fact, you're the fuel that keeps burning the fire. If you act as an informant to stir up garbage, you have no place in serious creative organizations. And, this is the true fact about this. If you're, for example, if I'm friend, I'm going to use this for example because I'm friends with Kevin Impact, but I'm going to use this for example. If I'm going to Kevin Impact being his friend, okay, and I'm going around behind his back talking to individuals he told me not to talk to because he was trying to watch my back and telling me these are bad people, these people are manipulators, influencers, pedophile enablers, etc. And I go back and talk to them and tell them exactly what Kevin Impact said, I'm part of the problem and not the solution. In other words, now I'm stirring the pot. In other words, you're stirring up the garbage. You see where that fits in? You see where I'm trying to get at? Because now you are playing both sides of the fences. And, I've learned a lot of things in life that there's one thing that you don't do. You ever heard that? I think there's a street terminology for this. Snitches get stitches. There's a reason why that street quote is a real thing. Because if you snitch on somebody in the streets, they're going to beat your ass. It is BTA. Beat that ass. Same thing with, tattletales. If you're going around tattletaling just to stir up shit, guess what? You're the problem. You are the problem that is killing the community. You are the problem that is killing everything that we are trying to be positive about. And that's what I'm saying here for this. So now we're getting ready to go on to the next one. Legal counseling behind the curtain as risk. Why that's important. Now, let's be crystal clear about where this leads. The negligence could easily have a serious legal process, and if there is evidence behind the curtain. We're just not talking about getting canceled on social media no more. We're talking about real world legal liabilities, law enforcement involvement, and protecting kids from monsters who are behind gaming avatar profiles. This is what I'm talking about with pedophiles. When you allow pedophiles to be a part of your chats, when you allow pedophiles to be part of your community, there's legal action. That means if it's happened in your chats or your community, what I mean by community is your Discord chat, Messenger chat, now formerly known as X, now known as X, formerly known as Twitter, and you allow these people to do this, if this gets taken to court, guess who gets in trouble? You as the CAW promoter. Guilty by association. Remember that terminology there. Just because you ain't doing it, you had power to get rid of this person and power to stop it, but guess what? You didn't do it. Now you're facing legal processing. Now this is where that you can get canceled as a CAW creator. You can get law enforcement involved, which means now you're probably going to be on the pictures of what we call the sex offender list, which means now everybody in your state and possibility country is going to find out who you really are. Think about that for a minute. Do you really want to be a part of that problem where everything is turning bad for you? There's things that you got to think about before you do. Going back on establishing rigorous moderation standards. Here's why this is important. If you run a stream, a federation, or chat room, moderation is not optional. You need active, trusted mods who can screen accounts, check profiles, kick out anyone acting suspicious immediately. No second chance for creeps. Talking points. Best practice for chat moderation, setting up automated filters, and creating an ironclad code of conduct for community spaces. Basically set up a standard where it protects you as a community and you as a CAW creator, promoter, etc., and stop blaming people for stuff. That's where the lies and gossip comes in. Just stop it. Stop the high school mentality. Stop the spies and alliance betrayal. Stop, the pedophiles. Protect the kids. Chat safety. If the kids is not 18 and up, don't have them in your e-feds. Pretty much self-explanatory. Now, we're going to get on this subject too because I feel like this needs to be talked about as well. So we're going to go with segment 11 of this. And Segment 11. Call to action, cleaning house once and for all. This is the reason why that this is so important. This is our community. No one is going to clean it up for us. Tonight is the line in the sand. Look who surrounded yourself with. Look at who you share your locker room with. Cut out the cancer, block the toxic actors, and protect the people who actually care about the craft. Practical steps for auditing your community, cutting ties with toxic peers, and committing to drama-free creative process. Pretty much simple. Kick out people that are not going to support you. Kick out people that is being toxic. Kick out people that, talk bad about you. Kick out people that put your name in their mouths that, sometimes you just want to take their big hands, smack the piss out of them. Another thing I want to talk about is the final thing that, DJ Chaotic, one of my good buddies, this is, segment 12, of course. This is the final segment, which is, I would call the 12 commandments of CAW. As we talk about the final segment, warnings and accountability. Check. We got on this topic, and boy, oh boy, this is where it gets down to the nitty-gritty, if I can say this. Consider this episode your warning. The screenshot exists. The receipts are saved, and the community's watching. Fix your circles, clean up your chats, leave high school garbage behind us. If you choose keep playing games, don't act surprised when the community turns its back on you. Discussion topics. Final stern reminders on accountability, protecting minors, and treating failed creators with baseline human respect. There's a word there that I'm going to highlight in that respect. The business is about respect. If you can't respect somebody, then it's not for you. And now, for episode 7, this is going to do it for episode 7 of Everything CAW, the death of CAW wrestling. Thank you for everyone tuned in, listen, support that we're trying to be here. Share this episode with every creator who needs to hear it. Stay safe out there, keep your circle tight, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.